Yes! Thanks for joining us. 49ers preview for the Bears. Boy, I thought it was going to be a lot different at this point of the season. I think the Bears, are you kidding me? That's a W. That's easy. But actually, there are a lot of similarities between these two teams that we'll get at it today at Levi Stadium. So I want to give you a preview because the whole Willie Adames thing yesterday, we did an emergency show. If you missed that, it is on the YouTube page at John Lund Unleashed Pod. So make sure that you check that out. Make sure that you're following at John Lund Radio on Twitter and all my social media channels, and make sure that you tell on all your friends and subscribing to the YouTube channel as well. I got a podcast, so make sure you listen to that to and from work. There's a lot of stuff going on. But thank you very much. We'll do a preview because everybody's like, well, aren't you going to talk any Niners on Sunday? Of course I am. So let's go through the 5 things. As you see right there in the chalkboard, we always have the chalkboard up there no matter what broadcast that we're doing. It could be a preview, could be a full show, could be 3 minutes on during the day when there's something big I got to talk to you about. Could be breaking news like we did on Saturday, a couple hours with hanging out with people and doing a long chat. That was a good time. So make sure, because I'm always popping on, doing different kinds of things, putting show clips up, all that kind of stuff, that you are subscribed. Therefore, you will get everything and you will never miss out on a thing. So, 49ers today taking on the Bears at Levi Stadium. Let's take you through the 5 things that you got to know. And again, I'm not doing the 5 players because Matt Maiocco does a tremendous job. Other people do a tremendous job. These are just numbers, stats, sorts of stuff that I'm looking at that you might be able to impress your friends if you're heading out to the game or watching it at home, make you a little bit smarter. So, 5 things you got to know about the 49ers and the Bears game today at Levi Stadium. Let's start out with this because we always have to. This season, it's about injuries. So here is Kyle's list from Friday.
George Odom will be out. Greenlaw is out. Trent Williams is out. Jordan Mason is out. Nick Bosa is doubtful. Flanagan Fowles questionable. Aaron Banks questionable. Huff is questionable. Go ahead.
All right, so that's Kyle Shanahan, obviously, and Kyle, none too happy. He's like, go ahead with the questions about more injuries. But since then, Nick Bosa has been downgraded to out, so no Nick Bosa, no Trent Williams. We talk about the lines and all those kind of things and where they've got to dominate and so forth. And just so you know, if you're still kind of hanging your hat on this season, could they do something? Could they do something? Could they get lucky? The Cardinals and the Seahawks play today, so both teams can't lose. I guess they could tie, but I guess in that game, because we used to play a game on Fridays with the Pop and Lund show, who do you want to lose this weekend? And I guess you would have to say you'd want the Seahawks to lose because they're 7-5, so bring them back to the pack a little bit if you hold out hope on this season, which I do not, but because of that list that we just heard. So here is your tale of the tape before we get to the 5 things about today's game that you need to know. Niners 5-7, of course. The Bears 4-8. Points per game, kind of close. 22.5 for the Niners, 20.1 for the Bears. Not good offensively. Total offense, you see there, they're getting the yards. They're just not, as we know, scoring in the red zone. And I'll get into the key numbers in just a second. 372 yards a game is good for 7th in total offense. Bears are 26th. Rushing offense, this is going to be a big number I'm going to tell you about in a second to make you smarter about today's game. 139.6 for the Niners, which is 7th. Bears don't run it all that well. Passing offense, the Bears are horrendous at 190. Caleb Williams has been massively kind of up and down this season. Other things that you look at, points per game, 49ers, again, that's just not what you're used to when you see this defense, lots of injuries, but 24.6 is 24th. The Bears are actually better. They're 9th, but then total defense-wise, the Niners are better. Again, it comes down to red zone. Sacks, the Bears are middle of the pack. The Niners near the bottom. Again, no help for Nick Bosa, even when he is healthy in the game. Punting, turnover differential. We'll get into turnover differential later on in the show because if you look right there, put this one away for a second because we're going to revisit it. Plus 10 for the Bears, which is tied for 4th in the league. Minus 3 for the 49ers, which is 10th in the league. And then you see right there, more numbers as far as Purdy and Williams. Similar yards. Yards is one of the most overrated, passing yards, one of the most overrated stats in football. Jordan Mason not playing today, 789 yards. DeAndre Swift, there was a question of whether he would play. He is, 704. Jennings and Kittle, both 50 catches. DJ Moore, by far, has been their leading receiver. And then you go on receiving yards, Jennings and Kittle as well. Adunze, who's a guy I like out of Washington, is their second leading receiver as far as yards are concerned. So there is your tale of the tape. Now, I told you about the run game, and this is where Isaac Guerendo, and I'm going to play a cut from Isaac Guerendo in just a second, the rookie out of Louisville. No Jordan Mason, he's on IR. No CMC, he's on IR. You know that. Here is the tail of the tape when it comes to run defense, and this is where it's absolutely huge that Guerrero has a great game today. As you look right there, the 49ers have the 19th ranked yards per carry, which to me, this is the number. The Bears give up over 135 yards per game on the ground, but really, to me, it's the yards per carry. So the first number there, as you look at the Niners, 19th, 4.4 is the season. The 4.7 is the last 3 games, so it kind of gives you a trend on what they're doing lately. So the Niners have not done a good job in that respect. So DeAndre Swift, I'm sure the Bears will try to get the run game going, but the Bears are awful. 29th, 4.9 yards per carry. To just put that in perspective, the Giants are at 5.1, so 4.9, 5.1, about the same thing, and 5 yards a carry over the last 3. So what is Kyle Shanahan going to try to do? He's going to try to run the ball, but he doesn't have Mason. He doesn't have CMC, so can Guerrero carry the load for the 49ers? We all know what Kyle's number is, over 30 carries. I don't have it exactly in front of me, but it's overwhelming that the 49ers win ball games like 80% of the time, and they go 30+, they go 35+, those kind of things. So expect that kind of run mix today with the 49ers, even with Guerrero, even with the shortage in running backs. And even though there's kind of, when CMC has not been in there, there's kind of this running back by committee thing. I expect Guerrero to get 20, 25 carries today. Early in the season, he just wasn't finding the hole. He wasn't kind of flowing with his zone running scheme, but he's gotten better and better at it. And remember, this is a guy that started at Wisconsin, was a wide receiver for a lot of his college career, didn't get a ton of carries at Wisconsin, went to Louisville, and then went to the combine at like 6'1", 223 pounds, and he ran a 4.3, a sub 4.4, and people were like, whoa, who's this guy? So he has the potential. He is big. He is fast. We saw the run against Seattle. The guy can break, but it's can he be consistent, and can he consistently find the hole against the Bears today in a flowing run zone offense? Here is Isaac Guerrero earlier this week from the locker room talking about his first career start, talking to CMC, how much better he's gotten. I think we start with Matt Barrows with the first question here, but here is Ike.
Just similar. It's like, once you get a feeling, got to get a connection with your O-line, how things are blocked up and stuff like that. You're just going to get a feel for it. And, obviously, he's got a feel for it. And, I'm just going to continue to, like, the more reps I get, just continue to build with that.
I think it was in the Holiday Bowl. You had like what players have been your mentors on this team and helped you get to where you are right now?
Like I said, both sides of the ball. I've been fortunate to talk to a lot of guys, get a lot of advice. Talk to Fred before, talk to Bosa, talk to Christian, talk to Brock. Just all types of guys who who have been around for a little while. Who are able to give me bits and pieces of advice. So it's been nice. Whether that's getting advice from recovery, from game prep, just anything like that. But those are all guys that also made it clear that if I need anything, they're there for me. So I appreciate that.
Have you heard anything from Christian this week?
I talked to him, just told him I was praying for him. Obviously, don't like to hear stuff like that, but I just told him I was praying for him, and he told me, he was like, if you need anything, I'm here for you. Any questions? So I appreciate him for that.
I think in the Holiday Bowl, you had like 26 carries and 5 catches. And how eager are you to sort of test yourself in that way, to get a big workload and see what you can do?
Yeah, no, I'm excited, but I really it's just whatever it takes to win. I think that's the main thing. Just taking everything 1 week at a time. So whatever.
There it is. Whatever that plan looks like is what he says at the end. And again, we're going through the 5 things 49ers Bears coming up as the 49ers try to keep the season alive, if you do believe that they can keep it alive. So number 1 on the list, as I went through the Kyle list and everything, we're at run the ball. Of course, they're playing the Bears, and so I put it to run the ball, and that's what it's like. I like Ike is number 2, so I gave you the number. 5 yards a carry is what the Bears give up for the season, 4.9, 5 a carry, which is ridiculously bad, near the bottom. I like Ike, and you heard the question there at the end. In his college career, he did have one game where he had 26 carries and 5 receptions. That's what I think it's going to take today to beat the Bears, although you look at it and you think the Bears, but with all these injuries, they kind of are on a similar par today. But I think it could come down to Ike, and there he is right there, the rookie out of Louisville. So let me run a slideshow for you for number 3 there. You see where it says money downs? There's a money symbol on the chalkboard there, money downs. Let me go to this, and this is beyond the injuries of the season, which that's why I led with Kyle and the injuries because, okay, injuries, and then we have other stuff to talk about because we just can't say injuries and say, okay, there's a preview of the game, everybody. Thanks for joining us. There's no Trent Williams. There's no Nick Bosa. There's no, that. Yeah, we know. But what else you got? So this, to me, really is why the season beyond injuries and weirdness has not gone the 49ers' way, and that is money downs. And this is normally a situation in which the 49ers do a much better job of the money downs. But let's just start there. So red zone offensive TDs, all right? Red zone offensive TDs as far as percentage is concerned. So this is the 49ers and Bears offense. As you look right there, and we talked about this early in the season, and we all said to ourselves, when Christian McCaffrey gets back, they're going to be great. Well, McCaffrey wasn't McCaffrey, but they obviously should be better. They were number 1 in the league in this category a year ago. You look at the right side, far right side, if you look at 27, San Francisco, 68% of the time. It works every time. 68% of the time last year they got into the end zone in the red zone. This year they're down to 48%. So you're talking about a 20% drop year over year with the 49ers in the red zone. 68% of the time last year, which was number 1 in the league, they got into the end zone in the red zone. A lot of that was Christian McCaffrey. This year they are 27th. If you look at the Bears up there, now they don't get in as often, and that's what it is. But when they do, 67% of the time almost, or 2/3 of the time, they get in to the end zone. Now, just to kind of back that up, what I just said, red zone opportunities per game, Chicago's at 2.3, and the 49ers are at 3.8. So about 4 times a game, the 49ers get in the red zone, a couple times a game to the Bears. But when the Bears get in, they cash in. When the 49ers get in the red zone, they don't. And again, what we're doing is we're going over red zone, third down, because beyond the injuries, this is the biggest issue facing the 49ers and why they are where they are, not scoring in the red zone. Let's go to third down offense. The 49ers, good, 43% of the time. They get a first down on third down. Chicago at 33%, 29th. They're not good on third down offense. Now, if that were the case, if that was just the story, you'd be like, well, what's the problem? They look good there. Again, money downs. Look at the defense, and this is the problem. Do you like my writing there? That's my writing. Third down defense. That looks like a third grader did it. I'm kind of a third grader. So Chicago right there, and Chicago's not bad defensively. This is why I'm illustrating this. About 34% of the time, they allow conversions on third down. But look at the 49ers, 26th in the league on third down conversion defense. 44% of the time, they're giving that up. So that's 26th in the league. 26th in the league on third down defense. Chicago is in the top 5. So again, we're going over money downs. If you look at the chalkboard to the right, in number 3, money symbol downs. Let's keep going with money symbol downs. Red zone opposition TD. So again, this is defense. This is unbelievable. This is the biggest difference in stat in the game. The 49ers give up red zone touchdowns on over 70% of the opportunities, almost at 70. It's 70.73. So let's call that, by my math, 71% of the time when an opposition gets into the red zone, they score a touchdown on the 49ers. Conversely, so that's 31st in the league. Only Dallas is worse, as you can see there on the chart. And then Chicago is number 1 in the league at about 41%. So if the opposition gets into the red zone against the Bears, 41% of the time they score. That's the best in the league defensively, and the 49ers are 31st. So again, the reason I'm going over money downs is the 49ers have stunk defensively on the money downs, third down, red zone defense, all these kind of things, which is uncharacteristic of this team. The Bears have been pretty good. So red zone, third down offense for the 49ers, very good. Third down defense, red zone defense for the 49ers, and you can see right there, 71% of the time they're giving up a touchdown. Chicago's at 41%. First for the Bears, 31st for the 49ers, and that is your key downs right there. So again, number 3, not key downs, money downs is what I'm calling it. That's a money symbol on the chalkboard. So that's number 3, money downs. Watch for that. And just as an affront to that whole thing, or an addition to that whole thing, I should say, this was this week. Let me throw this up on the board for you. This was this week, a question that was asked to Nick Sorensen, the should be fired at the end of the season defensive coordinator of the 49ers. was asked, red zone is 9 for 9 the last 2 weeks, 100%. That's somebody doing some serious math. It can't get worse. It's a crisis situation. Again, this was the question. Is there a solution? Is there an answer? Nick Sorensen says, we're looking at everything. Whatever needs to be done, we're trying. We've got to ask the same thing. Same as the run. We've got to. Same as not taking the ball away, which I'll get to in a minute. Same as the third down. These situational parts of our defense have to get better, and it doesn't matter who's in there. We've got to coach it better, execute better. So we look at every aspect, blah, 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 blah. End of it says we have to be better. How? 9 for 9. The last 9 opportunities that an opposition has had in the red zone against the 49ers, they have scored a touchdown. So I gave you that 71% number, which is 31st in the league. Red zone defense, 49ers are 31st, 71% of the time. A touchdown is scored on the 49ers if a team gets in the red zone. And then you just heard Nick Sorensen, 9 for their last 9. And then he just gives you some, bottled answer. We got to be better. They got to be better. We got to execute. If I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm looking across the table at Nick Sorensen. I'm pulling into my office going, what the hell, bro? So that's been the biggest issue. Other than injuries and weirdness of the season, that would probably be 1 and 2 in some order. Weirdness 1, injuries 2, injuries 1, weirdness 2. But then it's just the lack of money downs. Defensively not getting it done on third down. Defensively seriously not getting it done in the red zone. Offensively, they're fine on third down. They're bad in the red zone. So these money downs have cost the 49ers. If you want to throw the injuries and weirdness, something tangible that's actually on a football field, that's been the major problem for the 49ers. 9 for 9. 9 for 9. All right, let's get to what number are we on here? I guess number 4. QB numbers is what that means. After number 4 there on the chalkboard, let me throw up, just because you got to talk about quarterbacks. I mean, I know it's obvious and it's simple and people think you're oversimplifying things. If a guy has, in any sport, the ball in his hands on every single play, offensively, obviously, then you got to talk about him when you talk about 5 things. Now, this is Brock here. As far as you look at the numbers there, you look at the breakdown of Brock. See home and road and win and loss as far as Brock is concerned. Let's start with win and loss. So Brock, in the 5 games that they have won this year, completes 65% of his passes, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception with a rating of 109. You see that on the lower half there, win. It says value win. So 5-0, 65% of the time he's completing passes, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 109 rating. In losses, the 66% of the time good, but 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and a rating of 83. It doesn't tell the whole story, but again, and you may say that this is obvious, but in wins, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, a 109 rating. In losses, 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 83 rating. So is it overly simplistic to say as Brock goes, so goes the 49ers? I mean, that's every quarterback in the league potentially, but I'm just pointing it out to you that it is that when Brock plays well, the Niners play well, and it's hard to overcome when a quarterback doesn't play well. I mean, it's as simple as that. Now, Caleb Williams, on the other hand, very simple. He has not won a game on the road. So look at the top there that says value home road. 7 games at home, 4-3, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 97.5 rating. So he plays well at home. On the road, where a lot of young players struggle, 0-5 with 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a rating of 73.3. So again, am I being overly simplistic? In wins, same kind of a thing. 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, 105 rating. In losses, 7-4, and a 79 rating. So Caleb Williams has not won on the road, and as Caleb goes, so goes the Bears. It's pretty simple. And you've seen probably throughout the year, just the pass rush on Caleb Williams, the rush gets after him. He gets a little flustered in the pocket. I think he's going to be a good quarterback in this league, but he hasn't won a game on the road. He plays poorly, obviously. Some teams can overcome it. Patrick Mahomes clearly isn't having the best season, but you look at the defense and the other things that they do, and then Mahomes at the end of games makes plays. So you can look at Mahomes' numbers and say, geez, he hasn't played really well, and there's not a huge difference, but it's when you make the plays. So Brock Purdy, huge difference when he wins, when he loses. Caleb Williams, huge difference home and road. And he hasn't won a road game this year, so that's kind of big. So there is number 4 on the list, QB numbers. And then this one, again, people are going to say, duh. but turnovers and special teams. So we sit and we focus so much offense, defense, offense, defense, offense, defense. But we know as 49ers fans, 49ers media, special teams has been horrendous. So in a game like this, where you look at offense, defense, defense, offense, all those kind of things, special teams are going to play into it. But turnovers between these two teams is huge. It's the only reason that Chicago won the Tennessee game earlier this year. And this is like the money downs for the 49ers. Look at these numbers as far as turnover differential is concerned, and then look at most of the teams on the top when they have a plus side turnover differential versus the negative side. Look at the teams at the bottom there. Look at the Giants and the Browns and the Cowboys. Now, the Seahawks are good. The Patriots, the Falcons, the Chiefs are good. The Panthers. Those are all teams with negative turnover differential. Then you look at the top, the Bills, the Steelers, the Chargers. Now the Bears are there. The Packers, the Lions. Those are all playoff teams. So directly impacting if you win or lose. 49ers are -3 in turnovers on the season, and the Bears are +10 on the season. But even more, go to the right there to where it says giveaways. The 49ers have 9 interceptions and 10 fumbles. 19 giveaways for the 49ers. 9 interceptions, 10 fumbles. Look at the Bears. 5 interceptions, 4 fumbles, 9. So the 49ers have committed 10 more turnovers than the Bears at this point of the season. And if you look at numbers through the history of the NFL, the team that wins their turnover battle wins over 80% of the games. So again, you could say that this is obvious, but the reason I bring it up, because I try to look up everything, is the 49ers are near the bottom and have turned over the ball 19 times, 9 interceptions, 10 fumbles, which is ridiculous, 5 and 4 for the Bears. So are the 49ers better? I don't know with the injuries, but the great equalizer in a lot of games is turnovers, and the 49ers have turned it over at an alarming rate 19 times, and the Bears only 9 times, so that's a significant number. Caleb Williams is a rookie quarterback. You would expect more on that. And the other reason I bring it up is because 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐿 is going to be the main running back for the 49ers today. He has not played a ton, did not play a ton in college. Is 𝐼𝐴Z𝐿 going to be, is he going to cough up the football at an inopportune time? I guarantee you that if I'm the Bears and 𝐼𝐴Z𝐿 is out there, I'm going for the ball because I don't know. Is he a fumbler? He hasn't been a huge fumbler. It's just you got to look at the situation and say, well, he's a young guy. Let's just see what he can do. And then one thing I didn't put up there before I get to the bonus Brock money symbol, because Rap Sheet from NFL Network today had an update on Brock Purdy and how the 49ers are thinking. So I want to opine on that, even though it's not directly a part of today's game. The one thing that is kind of an intangible factor in today's game between the Bears and the 49ers is that Matt Eberflus, because he and the Bears, but he's the head coach, just played so poorly at the end of the Bears' last game. They had a timeout on the board. It was unbelievable. It was terrible. And Eberflus goes to the post-game press conference and says, I do it the same way. And it's like, you do it the same way? What are you, a moron? Bye. So sometimes what you get when you get a brand new coach in there is a lot of guys who think to themselves, well, I'm going to play as hard as I possibly can because I don't want the blame. See, it was Matt Eberflus. He's the one who's an idiot. So you do get that, at least for a short period of time, you could get where the players are playing harder. It's a new voice in the building. You kind of get a bit of energy out of that. It doesn't last long if the guy's not a great coach, but you kind of see it. You saw it a couple of years ago with the Raiders. You see that, every once in a while an interim coach comes in and that team gets a little bit of energy, at least in the short term they do. So kind of watch for that. What kind of different things are the Bears going to do? I mean, in football, it's different than other sports. You can change certain things or whatever, but you're not going to teach a new offense. You're going to teach a new defense. You might have a couple more wrinkles. You might have, whatever. There might be a different energy around the building, which could lead to something positive for a team. Or it could go the other way where the team just goes to hell with it. So we'll see. But they've got a new head man with the Bears, at least from an interim standpoint. And how does that kind of play into things? So we'll see that today as well. And finally, one more thing as we give you the preview of the Bears and the 49ers, the 5 things you got to know. So I gave you the Kyle list at the beginning of injuries. That's number 1. Run the ball, which is, of course, the Bears give up 5 yards a carry. I like Ike. You heard from 𝐼𝐴Z𝐿. Money downs, which has been the downfall other than injuries and weirdness to the 49ers. 9 for 9, which means the opposition their last 9 times in the red zone have scored a touchdown against this defense. Quarterback numbers, I gave them to you. Brock and Caleb Williams, very much the same. When they win, when they lose. And Caleb Williams hasn't won a game on the road this year. Turnover differential, which is stark between these two teams. The Bears are one of the best at +3. and have only committed 9 turnovers all season long. The 49ers are near the bottom in turnover differential at -3. The Bears are +10. The Niners are -3. And they have turned over the football an eye-popping 19 times. And finally, let's get to something that is not related to the game but is related to Brock Purdy. Here is Rap Sheet, Ian Rappaport, this morning before all the games started, saying despite Brock not being as good as Brock has been in the past, that the 49ers are still committed to him long term.
Position for the San Francisco 49ers. The season has obviously not gone as they hoped and expected, leading to some questions, I guess, about whether or not Brock Purdy is still the guy. From what I am told, he is, in fact, still the guy. The 49ers still plan on locking Brock Purdy up on a long-term extension. This comes.
All right. It's not that I don't think that Ian Rappaport is a credible source. He is a credible source. And I'm not saying that the 49ers right at this very moment are thinking that they're going to sign Brock Purdy to a long-term contract. But it's certainly not the slam dunk that it was last year. And I would be surprised if he wasn't signed to a long-term deal. But if you look at Dallas and Dak Prescott, and they decided Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and they're struggling. And I've talked about this on the show. Just go back, whether it be on KNBR or whether it be here, where you look at quarterbacks and you say, look, there's nothing better around, so you take good quarterbacks and pay them like superstars. That's just the way that it goes. Jimmy Garoppolo was the highest paid quarterback for a minute, and then Derek Carr, that was at like $25 million. Every single one gets more money if they're good. They don't even have to be great because there's just not enough quarterbacks to go around. There's no other position like it. The way that it's leveraged, all those kind of things. That's why when Brandon Ayuk was up, I'm like, there's 10 receivers coming into the league this year that are really, really good. That's why a lot of teams weren't going to trade for him. Why would I trade for a guy and give him all that money when I know that in the draft there's going to be guys who are going to be cheaper and they're not going to make money for 4 or 5 years? So that situation really wasn't leveraged. But with a quarterback, it's like if he's good, I got to pay him. He doesn't have to be great. He doesn't have to be Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't have to be Josh Allen. Those are the guys. But if Brock Purdy's good, not great, he's going to get $50 or $60 million, not because he's so great, just because he's the latest. You know how it works. My only question would be, I like Brock, but teams have started to adjust, not started to adjust. They've adjusted to him, and then let's see what Brock Purdy can do. And I like Brock Purdy. I think he's a really good quarterback. But he isn't going to be Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be a part of the reason why you win. He certainly could have won a Super Bowl last year. But to give him $50 or $60 million means that it was great to sign Demo Lenore. I don't know that I would have signed Brandon Ayuk. They're gonna lose Deebo Samuel. They're gonna lose Mooney Man Ward. They potentially are going to lose Dre Greenlaw. They're probably going to lose Javon Hargrave. That's all because your quarterback got the money. I know you don't like the Seahawks, but one of the best recent examples of this whole thing is defensively. The Seahawks have the Legion of Boom, and they got a great defense, and they got Wagner and Averill and all these different guys on defense and all those great defensive backs and Cam Chancellor and Old Thomas and Richard Sherman and all that kind of stuff. And it's great when Russell Wilson for them, when Russell Wilson's making third-round money, but when Russell Wilson then got paid, it was little by little. All of a sudden, there's, the foundation is getting cracked because you can't afford everybody. And Michael Bennett leaves, and then, all these different guys. And what you're left with is a quarterback where you look at him and you say, look, we've paid you $50 or $60 million. We kind of had to chisel some things off here to afford you. Now you got to be great with less. And the one thing about Brock Purdy, whether you love him, hate him, and you want to get mad at me for saying this, he hasn't proven the fact that he can do great things with less. On occasions he can, but this hasn't been a perfect case scenario. But last year when he has McCaffrey and he has all the receivers healthy and everything's going right, then Brock Purdy is one of the top quarterbacks in the league. And I look at him like I look at a Jared Goff. Jared Goff, without a perfect situation, is good, not great. This season, it's kind of like the Niners. They've just had all these great players around them. Pretty good defense. They lost Aiden Hutchinson. But offensively, they got all these great weapons. They play indoors most of the time, even on some of his road games. I think it's only a couple of outdoor venues that Goff has had to play in. Therefore, you look at him this year, he's an MVP candidate like Brock was last year. You look at a guy like Jalen Hurts this year. Saquon Barkley is playing the role of Christian McCaffrey this year. He's been absolutely unbelievable. They've got all these weapons offensively. They got one of the best offensive lines in the league. They fixed their defense. Thank you, Vic Fangio. They fixed their defense, and all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts looks pretty good again, right? When he doesn't have everything going his way, Jalen Hurts last year, pretty reliant on the pieces around him. But again, Goff got paid. Hurts got paid. Brock's going to get paid. I'm simply saying that the downside of it and the way that the NFL is right now, because there's not enough quarterbacks to go around, they don't develop the position as well as they should. There needs to be a way to do this better, whether it be in minor leagues, whether in the offseason they can hang around more. There's all these rules that you can't only hang around so much, and then you get a quarterback coach. I don't mean to get so deep on this whole thing, but the fact is that Brock Purdy's good, not great. And when you pay a guy to the level of great that is good, and then it starts to chip away at your team, that's when the team is done. And I don't think the 49ers are done next year, but paying Brock means you're going to lose some guys that you just don't want to lose. And so to automatically say we're going to pay him regardless, I don't know, would they look at bringing Sam Darnold back and saying, look, we can pay Sam Darnold, I don't know, $15 or $20 million, and then we can keep these guys. Is that a better solution? Is Brock that much better? Because around the league, something interesting that's going on is that guys are getting rehabbed. They're getting another opportunity because getting thrown in there is not the best thing. So all of a sudden, Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith and Sam Darnold, and somebody's going to try it with Daniel Jones in the offseason. Look, I'm not saying those guys are better than Brock, but what I am saying is it deserves a conversation. So when I hear 𝐸_Rappaport come out and say, absolutely, positively, they're keeping Brock. As of right now, at this moment, they're going to keep Brock. But to not have a conversation about it is malpractice. To not have a conversation about how much is Brock Purdy, $50, $60 million, that much better than Sam Darnold? Is he that much better than, like, I don't know what Daniel Jones can do, and I'm not a Daniel Jones guy, but could Kyle rehab him? Could he bring him in like he did Sam Darnold? Because that's a lot of money that you're paying Brock, and the ramifications are it's going to chip away at your team. It's going to, and it's not going to take a long time, even though Brock's not going to get the big money right away. It's going to kind of, what they do is, you know how the contracts work. I'm not getting into contracts, but they elongate the money over a long period of time so that the hits aren't as much. And I like Brock Purdy. I'm not saying I don't, but what I'm saying is you're paying a good quarterback great money, and it hurts your team. So I'm not disputing the report. I'm simply saying that to say that 100% they're going to do it, yeah, a year ago when they went to the Super Bowl and he was a big reason why, I think that, yeah, there would have been no question. But this year, I think they have to have a conversation to say, is this the right way we spend the money? So what do you think? Give me your thoughts. At John Lund Radio, you can hit me up there and tell me how stupid and crazy I am, but I do think they should have a conversation. All right, there you go. That is the preview plus a bonus Brock talk because 𝐸_Rappaport of the NFL Network brought up Brock and how the 49ers are dedicated to him long term. So again, 5 things. Kyle's list the injuries. Run the ball today. I like Ike. Money downs is huge. 9 for the last 9 in the red zone. That's not good for the defense. Quarterback numbers. Turnovers. Huge. I know it's huge, but if they were like close to each other in terms of turnover differential and everything, I wouldn't even have brought it up because turnovers are obvious. But 19 turnovers for the 49ers this year, and they're -3. The Bears are +10 and have only turned it over 9 times. It could come down to that. 49ers Bears preview. Remember, 8 a.m. tomorrow. We will be live, so make sure you're there. Tune in at John Unleashed Pod. Make sure you're subscribing, listening to the podcast, and telling all your friends. Let's talk. We'll talk Willie Adames, tons of stuff. If you missed anything, go to the YouTube page, listen to the podcast, and follow me at John Lund Radio. Have a great Sunday.